I am not wheeled in the right direction. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here for your amusement. No, I'm not. I'm here for my own amusement. To heck be darned. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, you see that underneath there where it says one show, ladies and gentlemen, one show. That's what we're operating on, one show. That means it's been one show since I last freaked out. Today, ladies and gentlemen, listen, we're going to make it not one show. We're going to make it 2 shows in a row. We're going to beat 21 shows in a row. We're going to do it. With your help, ladies and gentlemen, especially with the help of all the folks that have yet to see this video that may not even see it today. Maybe they'll see it a week from now, or a month from now, or a year from now. All of you are going to see this video. I thank you in advance for participating in this experience that we've all shared in together. The mutual self-destruction of the entire human race. Nothing short of that would get me out of bed. I kid. Totally kidding. All right, let's you know what, with that kind of introduction, why don't we just jump right into this?
Warning, the material you're about to use does form the minds of individuals who are limited in their capacity to understand the actual reality of power around them, just as you and everyone else alive and beyond. What you're about to hear are opinions, suppositions, like gospel or scientific truths, not infallible certainties. Brace yourself for incoming opinions that could confirm or deny your preferential view of the reality of power. Brace yourself for fallible material, fallible opinions, and values reflected, but nonetheless variably firmly held. We do not apologize to anyone we offend. We do not apologize for daring to express our views and impressions of what we believe is and what we hope to see. We will keep talking so long as we are able.
And now, Frico attempts to talk about the news without freaking out. That's the plan, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, if you see this hand that's over here, it's on this right here, this mouse. I got my mouse right over here, and it controls my universe. Basically, I have my mouse, and then on my lap, I have my keyboard. And I'm set up in my little cocoon situation. Giving you the people. I'll give you the business. I give you the business. What I do is what I do. Okay, so welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before we get going, let's talk about what it is that we're doing here. We have some stories that we're going to talk about. First off, we got super power vest could super power American troops. We got the Promethean fire of ZCash revived by Rand, which is going to be our feature for today. We got the one world wannabe government wants a one world universal basic income into the vast arrangement. Petroleum Seeps between. That's our news poem. Release the engineer Mosquitoes, EPA says. And finally, we're going to end with Putin's Syrians versus Erdogan Syrians in a war for control of the Libyan colony. That's a long title for the Dialectical, but we actually, sometimes we get short Dialecticals. Now, I'm not sure how long or short the talking will be, but the writing was pretty short for this Dialectical, which is unusual, but it does happen sometimes. And then, how did we get here? Frigo.com, where I gather the juicies as I interpret it, and I am not freaking out about the news for you, the people. And I get my juicies from right here, from newselite.com. The glitz, the under the radar, the hard to believe news at a glance. Get 10 links from that. Obamacare.tv. Free market social engineering for the masses, and I get 10 links from that. Pioneeringnews.com. Tech Science Underground News links. I get 10 links from that, and all of these sites are sites that I curate. I go out and I find these stories, and I harvest and I curate the best links as I see it, and the best of the best links as I see it. The ones that help me sing the song I want to sing, they end up over here, and from those I pick the 12. The 12 that help me sing the song I'm going to sing for you today, Friday, May 8th, 2020 on Frico Talks the News. The name of our song today is Petroleum Seeps, Promethean Fire in a War for Control. Nothing short of that, folks. Nothing short of that. That is what we bring up in here. Whew. All right. Well, welcome to the universe over here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this puppy lined up here. Let's get ourselves our first drink. We already need our first drink. That's always a good sign. Our first drink. This is water, but I have been sipping on this, by the way. This is delicious, V8 juice. I've got some stockage on some V8 juice, and so I am enjoying V8 juice during coronavirus. Very, very much so. Very, very much so. But I got my waters here, and we all know what that is. Y'all know, hello kitty, kitty, kitty. Elon Musk, $10 million, and I will put Hello Kitty logos all over this thing and on my website for a month, for a whole month. All I need is $10 million. Sponsor Hello Kitty just for the fun of, just for the LARP. Come on, that is a bright, shiny penny. You throw that out there, all kinds of people are going to try and figure that one out. That is, and listen, I'm not saying because I benefit, because I would benefit. I would use the heckies out of that $10 million. I would not be altruistic. I would use it entirely. Well, I don't know what I'd use it for, but I would certainly build my little citadel myself. I'll tell you before I did anything. I guarantee you that citadel building I would be. Small scale citadel, but I'd be looking to find people to join in with me, and I'd use my money. But I already have some folks in mind that I would invite to be part of this homestead acre, our first homestead acre community, a small little community of maybe four or five households, maybe each household 6-10 people each, and we all kind of throw in together, and we all also have our own individual spaces and whatnots. I think that's what I'd do if you do that, Elon, and then I'd use that as a laboratory that I would try to help others get done, and then I'd probably hit you back up and I'd say, dude, just sponsor these things getting seeded all over the universe. You know, there you go. We don't need one. The problem with it, though, for Elon, well, you know what? I'm not going to go down that road. I'm not going to go down that road. That's not what this is about. Let's record talk headlines. There. That's how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you do it right there. Discipline. Discipline in action. All right, let's get set to record these headlines in 3, 2, 1. This is the talk headlines for Frico Talks the News on Friday, May 8th, 2020. My name is Frico with Frico.com, and our top headline is Superpower Vests Could Superpower American Troops. Let's not have that up right now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what if we create a text thingy or not today. We don't know. We don't know. We that's the emergent part of the show. We don't know. We don't know what we don't know. And we acknowledge that we don't know what is even going to come next. Although we have a general outline. A potential. Excerpt from defenseblog.com. U.S. Army to integrate power cables into a tactical vest. The U.S. Army has announced plans to integrate flexible power cables into a tactical vest used by soldiers. Currently, Army engineers and scientists faced with the need to expand the capabilities of soldiers on the modern battlefield. Every day, more and more powerful and versatile weaponry, I didn't write this, modern systems and gadgets will be included in the personal equipment, which in turn requires solutions to ensure their recharge. Combat capabilities development commands, command, control, communications, computers, cyber, intelligence, surveillance, and Renaissance Center. Oh gosh, that hurt my head. Has partnered with the Soldier Center to investigate integrated power solutions in support of programs across the Army. These include Net Warrior, Next Generation Squad Weapons, and Integrated Visual Augmentation System. As the Army has increased the number of electronic devices that soldiers need to carry let's read this right, let's read this like a man! What do you mean by that? What if you read it like a woman? What if you read it like a they? Do I want to read it like a they? I'm going to read it like a they. Ready? Where are we at? All right, here. Ready? As the Army has increased the number of electronic devices that soldiers need to carry, more cables have been required to connect equipment to power sources and share data. What the heck do you think I was going to do? What kind of stereotypical voice did you think was going to come out of my mouth? I'm going to go back to my normal voice now. In addition, the Army's modernization initiatives will demand continually increasing rates of soldier-worn power. Soldier-worn power. There you go. Soldier-worn power. All right, let's do something with Soldier War and Power. All right. Oh, love these games. I just love. You know what? The red is appropriate because there's a lot of blood involved in this kind of. This is ultimately what we're talking about. Talking about blood. Blood on the badge. Blood on the badge. Anybody know that reference? It is a Barney Miller reference. Let me know. I won't say anything more than that, but that's a clue. Barney Miller reference. Blood on the badge. Comment down below if that's true, by the way. Soldier, War, and Power. I think that needs to be more. I don't know. I don't even think you need to see me right now because I'm kind of. Yeah, I think that's kind of more the reality. I don't think you see people like me when it comes to Soldier, War, and Power. I think this is more what you're looking at here. This is more the reality. Soldier, War, and Power. Soldier, War. But you know what? Watch this. Hold on. All right. I'm going to do some cheesy thing. All right. Don't judge me, ladies and gentlemen. This is part of the show. I've been told to do things to bust things up, to try to alleviate the sponsorship of the brain. And so this is a little sugar candy that I'm providing for you. This is sugar candy, all right? All right? All right? Yeah. Hold on. Here we go. It's coming. Well, it's ushering forth in a manner which is not deceptive. How about that? Ready? Wait, hold on. I think before we get this, we want to do something with this. What can we do with this? Hold on. There we go. All right, ready? Here we go. Ready for the boom? There you go. Yeah. And then let's like eat the news. Look, it's eating the news now. It's eating. Look, there it goes. There goes the news. It doesn't. Yeah. There you go. Hold on. We just got powy right now. We want power. More power. More power. That's what we want to do. So whatever the army is doing, individuals need to be doing. I say the Second Amendment applies to Soldier, War, and Power. Individual war and power must be a thing. Individual war and power. Just saying. I'm just saying. I'm going to leave this up for right now. Let me see how long I leave it up for. Let's get into this next story. Let's see if it's appropriate, age appropriate, genetically speaking, hyperbolically speaking. We'll dive into that melange of facts and lies, which is, well, who knows. Switching to racetrack memory is game changer in digital data storage game. Well, you know what? There you go. This is really appropriate. This stays up here. You see how I did that, ladies and gentlemen? I turned Soldier, War, and Power into individual. You see this? The subliminal messages, the not even subliminal message. I'm doing marketing, man. Marketing to you. I'm telling you, I'm marketing to you. I'm selling you yourself, though, is actually what I'm doing. The product is you that I'm selling. That's the thing, and I'm selling it to you. And that's just like, I don't even exist in this. I don't even get, the only value that I will get is the $5 that you send me to PayPal with, because this is like good therapy for you. That's it. Or the $1 or the $2, or if you're Elon Musk, the $10 million for the Hello Kitty sponsorship. That's how we roll here. Let's get to the story, though. This is an excerpt from Futurity.org. Racetrack memory could speed up digital data storage. Many current mass data storage platforms function like an old musical cassette tape, which reads data by moving material, i.e. the tape, with a motor across a reader, i.e. in the cassette player, then decodes the information written on the material to reproduce sound. By contrast, racetrack memory does the opposite. The material stays in place and the information itself is moved across the reader without the need to move mechanical parts such as a motor. A magnetic object called a skyrmion? Okay, this is worthy. This is a worthy word. Are we saying this is a worthy word? Let's just see, because I want to make sure. I'm actually thinking of replacing this. Okay. In particle theory, the skyrmion is a topologically stable field configuration of a certain class of nonlinear sigma models. It was originally proposed as a model of the nucleon by Tony Skyrmiate. So there you go. Skyrmion. And so let's look at the images of the skyrmion images. Look at those beauties. That beauty, eh? Meet the skyrmions. Exotic quasi-particles could revolutionize computing. Are you kidding me? Let's. This is from 2018. Okay, for most of us, I don't care about this. All right, here. A skyrmion is a twist. Here we go. A skyrmion is a twist or a knot. I gotta make adjustments here. Hold on. All right. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Best I can do for you folks. My site, Freako.com, has been optimized for video viewing. My site has actually been made to basically, it's been made for the show, essentially. But the show's all been made to promote the site. So they both have their own self-serving interests. So anyway, so they don't. So that's why I'm having an issue here showing this in the optimal condition that this text deserves. A skyrmion is a twist or a knot in an otherwise uniform magnetic field that creates a region in which the electrons form a group of atoms. From a group of atoms align themselves not to the magnetic poles, but rather into whorls. Once arranged into this unique topology, they can behave like particles and are protected from outside forces. Okay, now I'm not going to keep going down the rabbit trail because I don't have time, but I would go whorls is where I'm going. And I think this is what kind of stuff I'm going to end up doing on the Monday show, but I'll tell you more about that later on. Once arranged into this unique topology, they behave. This is the biggest thing I think that I need to remember. Hopefully you too, not the band. Screw the band. No. Oh well, that's better. Here we go. Hold on. Oh, see, I can't get it. No, I can't. Oh, there you go. All right. Once arranged into this unique topology, they can behave like particles and are protected from outside forces. So they're like, okay. So here's a quote here. Let me see if this warrants repeating. Okay, so if you want to destroy it, you have to do something really violent to the magnetization. So here's something interesting. If you store data, you want to make sure that when you come back. So in other words, this is going to make your data storage protection. This is a shield. All right. This is a shield. That's what we're at here. Oh, that's the wrong place. There we go. All right. All of that, because I think that's important to know. So now we know what we know what I'll never remember the details. All I remember in essence is it's some sort of force field. How about that? But some sort of, what I got out of that? Some sort of a force field, and I'm not liking the complexity of it, so I'm not going to put it up here. I'm sorry. I'm keeping individual warm power in its place right now, because we're still in that researchers can move by applying an external stimulus, such as a current pulse, carries the information. A skyrmion, a magnetic texture with a whirling spin configuration, spins as if curled up in a ball. The ball of spins represents a bit of information that can be moved quickly as well as created and erased with electrical pulses. Okay, so, I'm going to, here we go. So the barriers for this are that they're only stable in very specific material environments, so identifying the ideal material is, that's what they got to work on here. The researchers' test indicated that magnetic materials which generate only a small magnetic field, materials known as ferromagnets, are favorable for creating small skirmions and moving them. They showed that magnetic interactions can be precisely controlled in these materials to favor formations of skirmions. So I'm assuming stable, so that we can actually use these as force fields to protect our... but apparently, no, it's not just it's going to protect it, but somehow... And here we go. Here's the key point here. Skirmions can be very small and moved at high speeds at a low energy cost, thus enabling faster, high density, and more energy. So they're going to be more stable. They're going to be faster. So once again, yeah, this is very much individual war and power. This is also going to help towards that creation of my AI buddies. Your individual war and power, part of the individual war and power is going to be your AI buddies. Eventually, what we're going to have is we're going to have basically a smart undergarment that we put on. We won't be wearing underwear anymore. We will wear an undergarment, and the undergarment is basically a thin veneer, essentially protection that makes it incredibly difficult for any one of us to ever actually suffer physical harm as long as we got our undergarments on. That kind of thing. But we want individuals to be able to build those things themselves. We don't want McCorp, centralized McCorp, being the only one that builds those undergarments, and how they will create the artificial scarcities so that they can assure that only the smallest numbers get access to the top of the line awesomes. So that is always the case, and it's the case once again here. I'm just going to move on because I could say more, but I'm just going to go on because I got one more headline to cover here. And at this point, I think I'm going to take this off because this doesn't really fit this story. This to me is... This story to me is just all the absurdity of the whole nation state, and how any partisan of any nation state can actually feel like they have any high moral ground when they're talking about another nation state, be it America or China or Russia or Venezuela or any of this. And here's a perfect story. Bay of Pathetics triggers U.S. to investigate Green Beret for arms trafficking. Here's an excerpt from, oh man, that's not right, man. That's not right. Hold on. Alrighty then. This is from Talking Points Memo. Excerpt from Talking Points Memo. Sorry about that. Dang it. U.S. now investigating ex-Green Beret member allegedly responsible for Venezuela raid. A former Green Beret who has claimed responsibility for an ill-fated military incursion into Venezuela is under federal investigation for arms trafficking, according to current and former U.S. law enforcement officials. The investigation into Jordan Goudreau is in its initial stages, and it's unclear if it will result in charges, according to a U.S. law enforcement official who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss internal deliberations. The probe stems from a frenzy of contradictory comments Goudreau has made since a small cadre of volunteer combatants he was advising on Sunday launched an impossible raid aimed at overthrowing Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Members of the U.S. Congress are also asking the State Department about its knowledge of Goudreau's plans and raised concerns that he possibly violated arms trafficking rules. There you go. So, I've spoken on this in another show in more depth, but it's kabuki theater, figuring out fact, fiction, and by the way, this is not, none of these are, this is just a generic Green Beret thing. I couldn't find anything on this guy that was not in the reusable category, so to speak. So sorry about that, but Jordan Goudreau. Who knows? Fact, fiction. My suspicion is this probably. I'm inclined to believe that this was probably some sort of arms running, but it was something that the U.S. government was behind. They weren't trying to overthrow the government. That's over the top. probably not the case. I think they were just smuggling arms into to the American-friendly Venezuelans, basically. The ones that are willing to be, you know what? Listen, we've thought about who would we rather have be our whore daddies. And we thought about like China. China's good. I understand a lot of pro China stuff. I get it. They're pretty. Maybe they'll be more benevolent. I don't know, man. I looked at some of the ports that they manage in the Africas, and I don't know some of the stories there. A little bit nervous about China. And Russia, Russia. I mean, come on, Russia. Russia's like the Soviets and the socialists and all that. You know, we're the rich Venezuelans, or the haves mostly. It's mostly the case. And you know what? I'm sorry, man. Got to go with Big Daddy. Big Daddy. I want to whore myself for Daddy America. So, and then you got the other Venezuelans and the ones that are in the camp that would tend to favor, if their choice is socialism or capitalism. I don't blame them for choosing socialism. I mean, I think both socialism and capitalism are both stupid, but that's just me. I respect both of you, whether you're socialist or capitalist, as long as you don't want to thug me for not liking your stuff. So anyway, I think that I don't know. It's just, to me, it's just a struggle of meat puppets, for the most part, meat machines and meat puppets that are favoring one or more masters, and Venezuela is just one of these places in the world where everybody has all their proxies fighting. Oh, I got more on that. Don't worry, I got more on that. So I'll save that for later. I'm gonna end it here because I got more on this theme. This is just the tip of the iceberg of this nation state absurdism that I have delight to show you today. This is the 4 o'clock segment on the Action Bots YouTube channel. Coming up next is going to be the talk feature that I put out at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and our talk feature is going to be the Promethean fire of ZCash revived by Iran. Now, and if you happen to be watching live, which we are 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on, well, we do it on dlive.tv/Freako, but I may be having some issues there. So I'm just going to say right now, let's just say youtube.com/actionbots. If you haven't subbed, better sub, because you need to sub. And if you're watching live, you don't have to wait. Alrighty. I'll take a little breathing exercise, and I will contemplate I'm going to do a little promo. That's what I'm going to do. How y'all doing? Let me know. Type awesome in the chat if you're alive. Just that. Just type awesome if you're alive. Just that enough. Trust me, it's going to set heuristic institutions inside your little body. It's going to propel you towards something wonderful today. Something wonderful. Whoa. I apologize for that. I almost committed a grievous sin. Well, a freak within the context of Freako. Sin is in turning away from Freako. That's what I'd be doing. No, the only real sin. I'm a believer, Christ is Lord, but the Freako sin, it would be for me to have sipped from water live on this show, in which I have the cup available. Now, if I had forgotten the cup, I would have forgiven myself and I would have taken the water. But here it is, the Hello Kitty cup. That's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. You need to have things like this in your life, or your life is probably being diminished every day. Fact. I'm kidding. Of course it's fact. I'm kidding. All right. Let's get this little bit... You know what? I'm going to get this rebooted and get ready before we do this talk feature. All right. I'm going to start the music thing first, though. All right. Now we're going to start in 3, 2, 1. This is the talk feature for Freako Talks the News on Friday, May 8th, 2020. I am Freako with Freako.com, Today's talk feature is the Promethean fire of ZCash revived by Rand. And no, ladies and gentlemen, we're not talking Rand Paul. So get out of here. Oh, Mimblewimble is still up from yesterday. You know, I actually don't mind. I think I like stumbling back upon these. And you know what? So far, I'm going to have to say I'm okay with this being here for now. Mimblewimble is a beautiful word. I almost feel like, you know what? That's a superstar. It may be the first of its kind. There may be seen more, but I am going to do this, ladies and gentlemen. Check this out. There we go. This is going to remain here until someone boots it off. Now, that's probably going to happen during this segment, but we'll see. It's the first one to transition over, and it's maybe just luck of the draw, but it's okay with this story. It's okay with this story. The Promethean fire of ZCash revived by Rand. A man named Zuku Wilcox hopes to bring cryptocurrency to the world of the anonymous, outside the prying eyes of large-scale operators looking to assure they get their cut off of every potential exchange of value that takes place within the boundaries they are able to coercively control. For his troubles, Wilcox recognizes he's facing potential imprisonment, even murder, as he is aware that bringing this type of individual empowering, consensual association empowering tech to the masses could put a lot of psychopaths out of work. His journey to this point has come through a project he has called ZCash, which began years ago and has already led to thousands of anonymous, near anonymous at the very least, value exchanges between fellow humans. Along the way, there have been numerous attempts to discredit ZCash, Wilcox, and even the overall concept of anonymous crypto exchange. After all, the anonymous crypto exchange will kill us all since terrorists, as if nation-states aren't in the business of terror themselves, and believe you me, they are. And money launderers, as if nation-states aren't in the business of money laundering. Have you looked? What do you think? All that $6 trillion thing is massive, massive money laundering. Maybe, I'm gonna use that term broadly. I'm just gonna say it. Yes. Whatever moral configurations you have regarding money laundering, let's make that word the placeholder for all the other ways that you could imagine that you could manipulate monetary exchanges for nefarious ends, and let's just make that the placeholder. So in a much broader sense even than you think of in money laundering, the government, all governments are engaged in money laundering, and many of them, including ours, probably most likely. You know what? Definitely. Pentagon alone, they're doing literal money laundering as well, but way beyond that. And they'll be able to exploit the freedom of an actual free market, one that cannot be controlled, even if you wanted to. That's what anonymous value exchange does at its heart. At that level alone, here's the thing: if you can exchange value and data anonymous, if you can change, first off, if you can exchange value, that means you can exchange data. Well, everything is a form of value in the sense, never mind, I won't get down that road. Never mind. So anyway, let's just say in simplistic terms that almost anything you exchange, anything in a data set that's exchanged is an exchange of value. So obviously, if you can exchange what you could call, in a sense, monetary value, then you can exchange video value, then you can exchange text value and plans value and communications value and all that, stuff. So you can share the open source tech that can now compete with the nation state tech, that the nation state that produces the ability to utilize quantum computers at a small scale, even micro scales. Well, they're going to find that open source individuals and consensual associations have access to that tech and ability to manufacture it and duplicate it amongst themselves as well. That's the world that we're rooting for here. So here's an excerpt from Forbes. Cypherpunk Zuku Wilcox aims to bring anonymous crypto to the law-abiding masses. I love that. Wilcox believed this new cryptocurrency, which came to be known as ZCash, would be a boon to citizens of oppressive and intrusive regimes such as those in China, North Korea, and Syria. But he understood it might also prove attractive to hitmen, drug dealers, and child pornographers looking to evade detection. The cost of making anonymity available, you should see how many of them use the fiat currency and how they exploit fiat currency and even fiat currency credit and how they do that and what they do. The cost of making anonymity available to upstanding members of the public was making it available to the less savory as well, he figured. I told her, I've decided to do this, recalls Wilcox, now 45. It's scary. I might end up in jail. I might get murdered or extorted. I might go broke. Just look at what's happened to Ulrich. Russ Ulrich. Oh, man. Wow. Totally hosing his name. Whatever. Mr. Silk Road guy sitting in prison for life, for multiple lives, for running a site that enabled people to exchange value anonymously. That's what they did to him. So he kind of knew the road that he was, you know what, this bothered me. Let's do this. Let's do this. All right. There we go. Ross Ulbricht. All right, I actually was all right. All right. Yeah. There we go. All right. Sitting in prison right now. Now an assistant professor of computer science at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, Miller compares the idea, which is crucial to how ZCash operates, to punching a pinhole into a piece of black paper. And I think this is really good. To punching a pinhole into a piece of black paper and placing the hole over Waldo in a Where's Waldo puzzle, proving you know where the beanie-capped character is without revealing anything else about his context. I don't think of myself as a pioneer like Satoshi, says Wilcox. I think of myself as somewhat more of a conduit for other people's inventions, including Satoshi's. Begrudgingly, Miller reached the same conclusions. Wilcox believed the Rand report demonstrates anonymous transactions aren't the same as illicit ones and that ordinary, upstanding people value privacy. It sets a bad precedent if we fail, and everyone takes the lesson that the governments of the world won't tolerate privacy and freedom and diversity and decentralization. I love his challenge there. I love his... It's here you go. You know, we say that we are, especially this is such an appeal to the American state. It's supposed to be fundamentally formed around the whole idea of the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is a legitimization of power in the United States. So I get the appeal that he's drawing upon. Plus, he's an assistant professor, so yeah, he's got to be within the bounds. I get it. Ain't no thing. I get it. That would set a bad precedent that would deter other important innovations that humanity needs to combat all of the threats to our whole civilization. And he's right about that. We need decentralization. We need decentralization. Decentralization does not end up hiving us off and hoarding us off. And I talk about everybody being a citadel, but citadels that have integral ties with other citadels immediately around them, and then varying levels of confederal, if you will, citadelian type arrangements or whatever. I think confederal type of arrangements have the best opportunity for more consensual forms of governance to emerge in general. So I would generally favor the more confederal models, if any. Maybe you don't need any of them. Maybe there's other ways that you can have. Maybe there's leagues. I don't know what you would end up calling them. So I'll finish this up. Perhaps ZCash has been successfully branded as a way for law-abiding citizens to transact anonymously online, or maybe would-be criminals don't trust or understand its encryption technology. One possible, okay, in essence, ZCash isn't really the I think one of the reasons why people don't use ZCash is really simple. Oh yeah. All right, here's Frico's theory, and this is short. I think the reason that the criminals, some of them really are criminals if they're really murdering human beings, especially if they're murdering human beings for reasons other than they're going to murder them or whatever. But the reason I think they don't want to use this is because ultimately they want to know, they want to be able to find you if they need to, and they want, yeah. So it's kind of mutual. Like, yo, we're using Bitcoin, right? They want to make it okay. You can hide stuff in Bitcoin, ain't no thing. But they don't want to. They want to be able to find you. That's what I think. That's my suspicion. I'm just going to throw it out there, just as a possibility. I could be totally wrong. But that is where I'm going to end this feature. And the feature is this is the 5 p.m. show on the Action Bots YouTube channel. Coming up next, the 6 p.m. feature, the 6 p.m. show, as I like to call them. It's going to be the Talk Focus. And the Talk Focus is the one world wannabe government wants a one world universal basic income. Yay! So if you're watching the excerpts, which start airing at 4 o'clock, you're going to have to wait. But if you're watching live on the Action Bots YouTube channel, where we air this every Monday through Friday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, well then you don't have to wait. Alrighty. I didn't do the tip your freako thing. I'm a bad boy. Didn't do that promotion. Sorry. Well, I know you guys don't care. I am apologizing to myself. Hold on one second. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to take a little sip each. Oh yeah, I like this. I'm going to be using some of this, few other of these battle sounds, just battle sounds in the background. I think that's appropriate. There's a metaphorical, spiritual, whatever oracle, whatever variation of some forms of battles going off all across the universe. But I don't have time for that. I don't have time to stay in that universe. You know what? I'll do the tip your freako thing on this segment that I record for the Talk Focus. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? Type F in chat if that's true. That'll mess with people. All right, let's get this. Let's rock this party in 3, 2, 1. This is the Talk Focus for Freako Talks the News on Friday, May 8th, 2020. My name is Freako with Freako.com, and our top focus is the one world wannabe government wants a one world universal basic income. But before we go there, I want to remind you that I am a human being. Do I not bleed? Go to Tip Your Freako. Go to freako.com/tips, or go to freako.com, find the big fat buttons like these. I love these buttons. Click on that big fatty button. It'll take you to PayPal. You give me $1, $2, $5, or if you're a gazillionaire, a gazillion dollars. And anonymous, please. I don't want to know who sent it. No strings attached. You get nothing in return. Unless you're Elon Musk. If you put $10 million there and you say it's Elon Musk, then I will put up the ad for the, for the Hello Kitty. So that's on the table as well. Let's get to the Talk Focus. And I thought that was very important, and I think you guys needed that, and I apologize. The one world wannabe government wants a one world universal basic income. The global NGO, known as the UN, is now leading the call for a universal basic income, an income provided to every living human being on the planet, which will surely incentivize people to do the unpleasant grindings our world needs people to perform in order for us to all live, or, at the very least, live well. This really is about No, never mind. Just stop. Stop. Stay focused. Eyes on the prize. This type of thinking is indicative of the unimagined, who can't seem to imagine that even if you replace us all with robots as far as the crap work that no one wants to do, and unless they have to, we humans will still find reason to want to offer value to other humans that can rely that can only be provided by humans. I'm not saying that we can't come to a point where we don't know we're dealing with non-humans, but if that can be pulled off, that's another story. I think outside of that, until that happens, there are things that humans will want. And if they find out that you're not a human, it will bother them. Until someday it doesn't. And then we live in a different world. And then, hey, it is what it is, man. Stop or go. Just keep going. Just keep going till you can't go no more. That's what you do. Of course, as I see it, this call isn't about aiding the poors, but rather of consolidating power by raising dependence on large-scale systems that have already outlived their practical usefulness to all but a handful of citadelians, whose empires are built and defined by this large-scale dependence on the poors. And believe you me, the UBI will still... The UBI is the way to assure that we stay the poorest, because the UBI continues to keep us just we got some comforts. We got some opportunities, but not too much. They're going to make sure that the bestest and the brightest of the toys, the AIs of the bestest, smartest, awesomest with the nanobots that can go into your brains and give you come in and get your vaccines, and your vaccines are now these little nanobots inside, which there could very well be incentive for them to. I'm not saying just in and of itself that means that they're going to do evil things to you. They have an incentive probably not to do that to a significant portion of people, but I'm sure some people will get some whammies included in their vaccinationals. You would rather want the data that allows you to create your own vaccinationals. And see, we're living in a time where we could realistically put that power in every human being's hands. And they know this. See, they know it. They know it. So here's an excerpt from news.un.org. This is also about, listen, look what large-scale systems could do. It's because of these large-scale systems we got this, that we got, that you guys are getting the easy life. The easy life is not the easy life. They're still grinding you down. They're still putting more of them in you than you're putting into yourself. You're still more of them than you are of what you would want or wish to even be. And you don't even know it. I'm in the same position, by the way. All of us are. Well, there may be some that aren't, but I doubt it. Senior UN official calls for universal basic income to tackle growing inequality. The spread of coronavirus has fundamentally shaken economies, and people are beginning to question existing economic models. This pandemic has really thrown up the existing... Yeah, that's what you want. No, they're not... Well, I guess some of them are. They think that economic models matter. Economic models don't matter. All that matters is reality of power. The real power that individuals have in individual capacity, in varying aggregate capacities to influence the action of others. That's what power is. Power is simply the ability to influence action across the four markets of influence, which are the demonstrable, the social, the force, and the ideational. And in that reality, the economic model fits mostly within the demonstrable. But remember, demonstrable is not demonstrable as in fact. Demonstrable is it's basically perception. So there's a lot of room for interpretation regarding the accuracy of the interpretation that the demonstrable is actually true in the first place. So you know what? I'm not going to go more and more on this. Let's say a bunch of baloney and malarkey and quapalapas and how all of this misery that has happened, ladies and gentlemen, we have had a large-scale system that has been easily felled by a virus that is Not a plague, but still pretty bad. Worse than the flu, definitely worse than the flu. Not a plague, not an actual plague, but that was enough to destroy whole economies for generations. That was because we didn't have enough large-scale centralization. Don't you know? We will rescue the poor. We will give them a subsistence existence. And we will require the right thoughts and opinions to assure that decency prevails. Decency shall prevail! It will! Wait, that's how they start to sound. That's how they all start to sound eventually. No matter where they start off. Whenever they have that level of power and they have the validation of that power based upon ideational constructs that allow them to define the angels and the demons of the universe. Alrighty. Let's get to this last focus here. This is the collective intelligence of bacteria seen in tumbling and why knowing this can help us kill them. Yeah! Oh yeah, we figuring you out? Yeah, we are. Dude, we're zeroing in on figuring everything out. We will know everything. We will know everything. Okay? I'm sorry that I didn't switch that over sooner, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize, but I did remember now, so everything is good. It seems scientists can now see for themselves the tumbling trickeries of bacteria that could help them understand how to combat the deadly darlings that come from the bacteria family, as well as helping us understand how to fight viruses such as coronavirus. In the face, mother! In the face! Now that they see the tumble, they can create antibodies that can combat this clever, collectively, technique. There's something to be said here before I get into this. This is important. Please be brief. This has to do with cognizance, with our notion of cognizance, with our notion of the action that we take that we assume is ours. And it is how we imagine that level of, that the cognizance part, comes from the brain. And the brain then is the one that ultimately directs the flow. The action that can be perceived externally, I guess, maybe. Even the action that can't be perceived externally, because thought in and of itself is a form of action. Even if the action is only to influence your own mind, it's a form of power in and of itself. Self-power, I guess. So, within that context, what scientists are seeing is how bacteria, when they're in proximity to one another, they begin to take on some form of aggregate understanding of the nature of the world around them. And they respond accordingly. There's another story where they're talking about a bacteria that react to certain types of lights, that they have a memory of those lights, an aggregate memory of these lights, and so they prepare in advance for things. I'm not sure, but we're seeing these things. And so I think about this is within the human body. The way that we think about the mind right now, it's going to change. It's going to become more about the overall. I mean, I know it sounds hippy-dippy, but I think it's going to be very scientific. It's an understanding that we have working within us cognizances that aren't always working in the same interest that what we imagine our top-level cognizance is. That we are at war with ourselves, and sometimes it's because we have a collection of bacteria that have managed to, if you will, hijacked our minds. Now, my supposition is that we have the capacity to overcome these things, but we only have the capacity if we lack passivity. Passivity comes from, I'll say, a sense of ease about one's moral position in life, that one safely has themselves characterized as one of the good, one of the woke, one of the understood, one of the valued, one of the elite in one way, shape, or form. That's the passive mind, and that's the mind that is much more driven by the minds of others than by the mind of self, and so is also much more prone to, say, bacteria hijacking them and them not being aware that they're reacting to a physical phenomenon, but they're still continuously interpreting a physical phenomenon that sends symptoms that regularly tell the mind that there is this mood, if you will. The individual then actually makes that dream come true because they have a passive mind. So back to this. This is an excerpt from Science Daily. Scientists observe bacteria tumble their way out of surface traps. While tracing the movements of Escherichia coli, a team of French researchers noticed that near solid surfaces, the bacteria runs in circles. Loop after loop, the tracing almost looks like an Olympic figure skating rink before the sun bony irons the sheets of smooth ice. Breaking down E. coli, I can visualize that. E. coli's routine step by step, the scientists identified a signature move, surface tumbling. And I'm not going to repeat all this. Okay, here we go. You know what? I should just, I'll cite, it was in Biophysics Journal. I should cite that. Propelling forward with their several tails known as flagella, bacteria swim 20 times the length of their body in 1 second, and tumble happens even quicker at 1/10 of a second. In fact, you're likely to miss the tumble even if your camera is high-res enough to film bacteria. To take a close look at how bacteria escape from the surface, the team built a higher magnification, high-sensitivity, high-speed camera equipped with night vision. The recording showed that when the bacteria swim near the surface, the water friction on the body near the surface causes the trajectory to bend. To prevent being trapped running in circles on the surface, the bacteria tumbles. It decelerates, and one of the flagella jiggles out of place, reorienting where it was heading. In some cases, like swimmers pushing off a pool wall, the jiggling flagella kicks on the surface, resulting in a sharper turn. The wild flagellum then returns to the... I mean, this is action-packed. Come on, this is like Call of the Wild, Jack London, the wild flagellum, this White Fang. Was it White Fang in there? I forget the name of the... I read that as a kid. It was so visceral for me. Yeah, Call of the Wild! Jack London, baby. Jack London. I used to use that name, Jack London. It was one of my quote-unquote dunning names. I've said too much. We now know that bacteria can tumble on surfaces. I'm just kidding, by the way. I did use it, but I didn't say... Just shut up. Shut up and do the show. We now know that bacteria can tumble on surfaces, and these tumbles are very specific. Elucidating the strategy of surface exploration that is underlined by these tumbles is an important future step. So let's get down here. Here we go. Here's the big old... Let's end it with this. Before the pandemia... Ooh, pandemia. You know what? That is... Dude, that's hot. That is hot. That is so hot. See, this is why I did the text thingies, and I put them up to reuse them. Because I knew, and I don't want that to be a small p. I also, I think that should be a big D. I think somehow that should be... And that should be... I'm changing stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, just trust me. Listen, I love you guys, and you guys know that I got your back. You guys know it. You ain't even doubting it. So you'll understand when it's time. When it's time, children, I shall take you on my knee, and I shall show you where the wild thing... Never mind, that's a different story. That's inappropriate. And you're not talking to children anyway. You sick... You're an evil human being. Fundamentally. Pandemia! See, that's the spirit of the piece right there. Pandemia. You know what? You got to stay in there. And we got to make you biggest we can. There we go. I think that's appropriate, ladies and gentlemen. Pandemia. All right? Keep it clean. This is a family show. Before the pandemia, the COVID pandemic, it was difficult to convince people that we need to anticipate and develop alternative approaches to reduce the surface biocontainment. Biocontamination, said Lemel, says Lemel. Listen, Lemel, I just want to add this, okay? I want to know how close I got to actually mimicking your voice. People were like, we have plenty of antibiotics. There's resistance, but we have time. From a medical standpoint, understanding the near-surface tempering event of bacteria can help limit into biocontamination of surfaces and develop antibacterial methods. Can't believe this Lemel guy's having problems saying biocontamination. That's twice he did. And he's a doctor? Shame on you. Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm sure he would probably do something toward the glandular area of the body with certain podiatric kind of he'd kick me in the balls, and he'd be just in doing it. So please, Lemel, I hope you have a consensual heart and you have mercy on me, because I did make fun of you, but I'll move on. So this is cool. So I'm going to end it here. This is the end of the focus. Coming up next is going to be the news poem, which I think we're going to switch on over here. Okay, we're going to leave that pandemia up just in case. That's generally I'm going to start leaving the text guys up until the next show. Then when I find them, and I don't just leave them up and see if they roll or if I end up. Yeah, I think that's the organic way to do this. So I'm doing that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do the news poem next, and the news poem is going to be. There it is. Into the vast arrangement, petroleum seeps between. Now, this one was fun, so I really encourage you to stick around and watch the 6 p.m. segment if you're watching the segment version of the show. Because this one, this is one of those assembly poems where you take parts of the news item, little phrases, whatever phrases you want. You try to get a little uncontextualizations, and then you kind of randomly, sort of random, kind of a mix. You arrange them in a certain way, and then when you go through them, then you make your own. You add on stuff, and you take away, and you apply those final little touches of self-direction within the randomness of the piece. And that's what I did for this poem. So you need to stick around for that. Now, if you're watching live, and the show's live, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, on the Action Bots YouTube channel, possibly maybe D-Live, we'll work on that. Then, hey, you don't have to wait. Okay, you don't have to wait, but you know what you do have to do? I gave the time wrong. I screwed up the time. That's right. I'm at the break. I could take a break. Honestly, the biggest reason that I actually do, I take a break for a couple reasons, but the fundamental reason is just that my throat, I actually need to rest it, because I start to get, I probably won't have that problem when I get back in control of the acid refluxes. Because of coronavirus, I have a lot more processed food in my life than I would normally have. So I'm probably going to have some issues until I get out of coronavirus, and I am working on in the next time this happens, instead of having a stock of, and such as I don't have a huge stock, but I have some. So instead of having a stock of processed stuff, it's going to be fresh stuff that's frozen and air frozen or whatever, air tights and all that stuff, dry frozen or whatever you call it, all that kind of stuff. So this is the halfway point, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank everybody who's stuck with me. We will see you when we get, you know what? Let's just do a transition here. We are on a good pace here to potentially be able to change our little thingy from the, you know what? I don't know why this isn't on here. This should be on here. And I'm going to change this right now, ladies and gentlemen. I am making a unilateral decision. I didn't even consult with my wife on this, and I hope that she doesn't mind, because I don't want to give a shout out if my wife is watching this live, that she's helped me a lot. because a lot of what she's been saying, I'm like, listen to the wife. The wife knows. Here we go. So if the show is getting better, it's totally because of my wife. If it's not, it's because I'm not taking my wife's advice and doing it the way she told me. That's the way it's got to be. You know what? I'm going to put you right there just to be obnoxious right now. Just, you know what? I kind of like it. Oh, I like it. There you go. That's what we're looking at, ladies and gentlemen. We're about ready to go on break. And when we come back from break, what we're going to be talking about is the news poem. And will we make it and be able to put 2 up there? I think you guys would be very proud of me if I do put it at 2. So I want you guys to be proud of me is what I want. What I want most in life is for you to be proud of me. That's it. I'm not lying. I'm not being sarcastic. I am. Don't listen to this guy. He's just a YouTuber. We're gonna go on our break, but we have an issue, ladies and gentlemen. We have an issue. Hold on. We do have an issue. That is, I think it's pretty difficult for us to possibly comprehend. Here we go. Here we go. All right. I'm about right. All right. Here we go. Let's go on break. We'll see you. We'll see you in a few. God bless the children.
Love overwhelmed me. Love overwhelmed me.
Why do you not have your headphones on the way they should? Why are you not in the shot? Well, because I prematurely ended the exchange. I do that sometimes with that song. But also it's kind of, I don't know, it was kind of clicking out. And I was like, you know what? It's time to rescue. It's time to rescue the show. Every second that I breathe is committed to rescuing the show. turning this show into what it was always destined to be from the start, from the moment that it was dreamed up years and years ago, before podcasts were a thing, before YouTube was a thing. There was this inkling in my mind of what the perfect podcast. I didn't know what it was. I just knew. I was 3 years old, and I was it would have been late 1970. No. Early. No. Late 1971. Let's get the times right. I'm very, 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 very specific. Late 1971. It was a year before. It was a year before the Great Flood. The Great Flood of 72. Hurricane Agnes. Agnes hit Harrisburg, Pennsylvania right in the face. Real hard. We was in the midst of that stuff. Yes, we was. We was in the midst of that. We were on the third floor. I believe third floor, and then finally the roof of a 3-story old house before we were rescued by a rowboat. A rowboat from our neighbor. Our neighbor rescued us. I was 4 then, but at 3 years old, I was the king of the universe. Friggin' king of the universe. Anyway, I'm not going to tell you anything more. You have to keep watching the show. I'm going to share stuff like that. I'm just going to drop off, and then some other time we'll pick back up. I like to do things like that because I'm bored. Because that's what you do. I hope you're enjoying it, too. And for those of you that may have been offended at anything that I just said, let me just tell you, I'd like to extricate myself from this whole affair at this current moment in time. Let's get back to the show. Let's do what we do.
Warning, the material you're about to be exposed to is formed the minds of individuals who are limited in their capacity to understand the actual reality of power around them, just as you and everyone else alive on the arm. What you're about to hear are opinions, suppositions, like gospel or scientific truths, not infallible certainties. Brace yourself for incoming opinions that could confirm or deny your preferential view of the reality of power. Brace yourself for fallible material, fallible opinions, and values reflected, but nonetheless variably firmly held. We do not apologize to anyone who may have. We do not apologize for daring to express our views and impressions of what we believe is and what we hope to see. We will keep talking so long as we are able.
And now, Frico attempts to talk about the news without freaking out.
That's the plan, ladies and gentlemen. That is always the plan. And as you can see from the little Scrolly Bully boy there, Scrolly Bully boy, where's he at? There he goes, Scrolly Bully boy right there. I'm starting a new streak. Started yesterday at 1. Today, if I get to 2, then we can say officially I'm on a new streak. 2 in a row. 2 in a row is good. That's what we're going for today. Let's get ready to record the news poem. Let's get set up, ladies and gentlemen. 3, 2, 1. This is the news poem for Frico Talks the News on Friday, May 8th, 2020. I am Frico with Frico.com. Today's news poem, well, got ourselves a good one, ladies and gentlemen. Today's news poem is called Into the Vast Arrangement, Petroleum Seeps Between. This story is the most important story of all the stories that I select for Frico Talks the News, because if I'm going to sing a news song, the most important part's going to be the news poem. What? That's a duh. But where do I get it from? I go to newslight.com, the glitz, the odd, the under the radar, the hard to believe news at a glance. I get 10 links there. Obamacare.tv, free market social engineering for the masses. I get 10 links there. Pioneeringnews.com, tech science underground news links. I get 10 links there. From those 32 links, I gather othering and thing into Frico.com. You already know that I picked the 12 links for the song, but this is the song of songs, so this one's the most important one. And the news poem title is, once again, Into the Vast Arrangement, Petroleum Seeps Between. Life. This is an excerpt from ScienceDaily.com. News first poem follows. Life is bubbling up to seafloor with petroleum from deep below. An estimated 1/3 of the Earth's microbes are literally hidden, literally, sorry, every time, literally hidden, buried in sediments deep below the ocean floor. Now, scientists have shown that these deep biosphere microbes aren't staying put, but are bubbling up to the ocean floor along with fluids from buried petroleum reserves. And these hitchhikers, yeah. I'm going to try this out. Dramatic readings of science articles. These hitchhikers in Petroleum Seeps are diversifying. Oh, wait, now they're good. Are diversifying the microbial community that thrives at the sea floor, impacting deep sea processes such as carbon cycling that have global impacts. It's all tied together, lady. Actually, it is. This study confirms that Petroleum Seeps, my friends, we got ourselves a winner. Hold on, let me get up this wintering here. Hold on, let me get that wintering on out there. And we got a, oh man, that is such a good one. You know, I don't know. Nope, not doing it. I'm not doing it. Never mind. Almost decided to keep the one that was there. And then I decided, and in this case, I'm going to leave it lowercase. I think that's perfect. Where are we at with this harmonies? There we are. Petroleum Seeps. We're just going to make you, there we go. There we go. There we go. I think there we go. I think there we go. There we go. That's good. All right. Now we got the visuals, and that helps everyone understand the universe. It's all about this right here, man. This study confirms that petroleum seeps are a conduit for transporting life from the deep biosphere to the seafloor. That's transporting life. Transporting life from to deep biosphere, seafloor. Deep biosphere, seafloor. You getting it? Wow. I think that's a good visualization there. That's good. All right, so what they did is they looked at 172 samples from the Gulf of Mexico, and these were samples that were gathered in 2011. And these particular, I'll read this part here. These petroleum seeps on the ocean's floor harbored distinct microbial communities featuring bacteria and archaea that are well-known inhabitants of deep biosphere sediments. Whereas sedimentation slowly buries microbial communities into the deep biosphere, these results show that it's more of a two-way street. The microbes coming back up offer a window to life buried deeper below, Hubert said. These relatively accessible surface sediments give us a glimpse into the vast subsurface realm. Yeah, so then the study adds a new dimension to understanding the metabolic diversity of seabed petroleum seep microbial communities. If it weren't for the here's a really good one. If it weren't for the microbes living at hydrocarbon seeps, the ocean would be full of gas and oil, Chakraborty said. They are literally keeping our oceans, from our perspective, our usefulness, and certainly probably the usefulness of many other organisms in its current state. Very, 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 very useful. Now, the interesting thing here would be to say that, is it possible if these microbes live on gas and oil that you couldn't have a high-level species such as us human beings? Of course we're high-level. Of course we are. Built around gas and oil exchange. That would be, oh man, a very unctuous society. That was bad. I'm sorry. I apologize. This is the news poem, though, so I could be a little bit highfalutin with the wordage, if you forgive me. That's not really highfalutin, but it is for a simpleton like me. Here we go. Here's the news poem. Well, the poem part of the news poem. Into the vast arrangement, petroleum seeps between. Seabed petroleum seep microbial commute into the vast arrangement. Microbes coming back up, hydrocarbons. The snap, petroleum seeps, metabolic diversity, unencumbered. Seabed petroleum in dark production. Microbial community alone, separated. Sedimentation overcomes the potential in a deep biosphere. If it weren't for the microbes living at hydrocarbon seeps, the oceans would be full of gas and oil. Migrated to and fro twixt living and dead, old forms, patterns of death and advantage, petroleum seeps. Bubbling up ocean floors, bubbling between, above, and below, the exchange. Hitchhikers in petroleum, slow affairs. Sedimentation slowly buries petroleum seep. Whereas sedimentation slowly buries microbial communities into the deep biosphere, the microbes coming back up offer a window to life buried deeper below. Microbes coming back, seep microbial communities, migrated gaseous hydrocarbons intended, thought, the abided between the kernel of the spark's potential and the affair of the load of the ungathering. Petroleum seeps up, offer a window, buries, gaseous, subsurface realm. So you go to Freako Talks, you go to Freako.com and you scroll on down to where the poems is. You go down here, you can get access to the Freako iChaps. Here's a brief little. Here we go. Let's do a little sample. Flexible Code of Forms Living, a poem for Winter Gross, which was written Wednesday, April 21st, 2020. That's what you get. You get that solid gold right there. Listen to this guy. This guy's money. This guy should have he should be on a corporate show, but he never would. He'd never sell out. He's a decent human being. So anyway, yeah, you can go there and you can get the latest. You'll get a different version even than what you just saw on this news poem, because you'll get it without the news. It'll have a different music thing behind it. All the same image, but a little different setups. I do. Coming up next is going to be our talk brief. That's our 8 p.m. segment on the Action Bata YouTube channel, and that is going to be Release the Engineered Mosquitoes, EPA says. Now, if you're watching live, and we do live stream on this YouTube channel, Action Bata, so be sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You don't have to wait. All right. Let me get a drinky here. I did down the last of the V8. Oh man, V8, by the way, highly recommend. It was one of those cheapies that I love, and I hadn't had in a while. It was like, whoa, and it's very, very practical. So I highly recommend if you get access to these. They're relatively cheap. You could probably get them for get 24 of them maybe for about $8, something like that. And these things are really wonderful. There's 60 calories to a serving, but you got all kinds of sodium, which is really good for you. You have vitamin C out the giggy, so that is really good. And this is a much better way for you to receive it than, say, supplements. You get 110% of your vitamin C. You get 30% of your vitamin A, so that's pretty solid. Some iron and potassium, which is always good. So it's good stuff here. I'm just saying. Listen, I love you guys. Just want y'all to do well. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this in normies, but in terms of preservable, cheap food that's nutritious, and not necessarily long-term, but some short-term preservables, highly recommend. Very, very practical if you don't have access to a lot of fresh foods. Alrighty, so I've done that. I've put myself out there on the record as being pro V8. I hope that I don't get a lot of hate mail for that. Let's get to the brief, though. How about we do that? How about we get to the brief? Because of peace, love, and harmony. These are the briefs for Frico Talks the News on Friday, May 8th, 2020. I am Frico with Frico.com. Our top brief you could see here is Release the Engineered Mosquitoes, EPA says. Woo! That is so hot. That is so hot. Love this. Because I totally trust. I could not get a lot of information on this at the time that I created this, so this will be one of those things that possibly I might consider on the Monday show. I'll tell you more about the Monday show at the end of this. If you're watching the live stream, if you're not watching the live stream, which is 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, also on this channel, YouTube channel, well, then you missed out. I'm hopefully I'll get the DLive thing sorted out, and I'll eventually reliably be on DLive.tv. But I can't fully advocate for it yet because this audio just doesn't seem to always want to be on during the live stream, especially for people watching on their desktop. But that's neither here nor there. This story, though, all I got for this is this. U.S., and this is from agribusinessintelligence.informa.com. U.S. EPA okays release of GM mosquitoes. The U.S. EPA has granted an experimental use permit to U.S. synthetic biology company Intrexon's UK subsidiary Oxitec to test its genetically modified OX50434 Aedes aegypti mosquito. So that's just so cool. So cool. Oh, man, that's so GM, genetically modified, not General Motors. General Motors mosquitoes would be kind of cool. I mean, hideous, but cool still. Like in another sense, like in a fiction, science fiction sense. As long as I have if I'm the one that's going around and crushing them. Keep it brief. These are briefs. Doing the work. Speaking of insects. Ants store long and short-term memories on different sides of their brains. This is an excerpt from sciencemag.org. Ants store long and short-term memories on different sides of their brains. A new study suggests ants, like humans, songbirds, and zebrafish, also store different memories in different sides of their tiny brains. Oh, well, dude, why you got to be like that? You know what? I just feel like this isn't meant to shame the ants. This is meant to shame the people that decided that it was cool to do this. You know, I don't have a briefs text. You know why? Let's switch over here. Let's get to the briefs here. Let's get to the here we go. That's why we got this. This is not intended to shame the ants. I'm going to make this red. This is intended to shame the writer who chose to describe the ants' brains in this way. It's very insensitive, and I know for one, if I was an ant and I could read, and I saw this, I would be appalled that you would count, you would use such language that you'd have to understand is demeaning immediately. That immediately reduces even the very agency of ant. It subhumanizes ants. So I just want to put that up there, and I'm gonna leave that up there for the rest of at least of this little part. So a new study suggests ants, like humans, songbirds, and zebrafish, also store different memories in different sides of their age-appropriate brains, in a scale and age-appropriate brains. Ants trained with the right antenna had strong thirst responses at the 10-minute mark and lingering responses after 1 hour, but not after that. Ants trained with the left antenna had no response at 10 minutes or 1 hour, but apparently thirsty 24 hours after their training. Wow, so like, hold on, let's get the political ramifications of this. Hold on. All right, the right antenna, 10-minute mark, had strong thirst response at the 10-minute mark. The ants, okay, so the right is more thirsty than the left. Or 1 hour, but apparently thirsty 24 hours after their training. So, long-term thirst over here, short-term thirst over here. So the short-term thirst is like, yo, gimme. Wow. So there you go. So you could subhumanize people accordingly. You could figure out a way for the right to make it noble and the left to make it noble and vice versa. You guys got this. You figure it out. You put your little constructs on it to make ants confirm that you're actually the good guys, because that's the way it rolls. That is the way it rolls. And it's all fitting there, and also with the whole tiny brains thing. Why would you write that? This is current year. Current year. Do we refer to an ant brain as tiny anymore? You know I'm kidding, by the way, you guys. Just in case there's one or two of you out there, they're like, you hate. You're gonna job you. By the way, I love it. When I used to participate in Facebook, I regularly lost people who I had friends on the left and the right, and I got accused of being an SJW by the right and accused of being a Nazi by the left. So that's the way it rolls out there, folks. That's why I'm not interested in any kind of conversations in that universe anymore. But, you know, all right. Well, let's just get to this next one here. You're just going to move on. Wait, should we move on? So basically, ants, there you go. Ants, wonderful ants with wonderful, appropriately scaled brains. Okay? As a matter of fact, let me just make sure I put that visual, because we need... It is only when you see the factitious in display that you will erase the stigmatization of the tiny brains in association with ants, and you will now associate this positive interpretation of reality in connection to ants more strongly, more profoundly. No, that is not, I apologize, I did not indoctrinate you in the proper way. Hold on. Here we go. Now, we're going to have to put you there. Yeah, there you go. Now, when you think of ants and you think of this is the hope. This is the dream. This is what I'm building. The heuristic institutions that are built in you will cause you to look at ants in a more positive light. Look at me. Everybody look at me right now. And you tell me, after you watch this the next day, if you don't think of ants in a more positive light. And if you do, think about it. And if you don't, think about it. Anyway, comment down below if that's true. Sewage poses potential coronavirus transmission risk, experts warn. This is from stir.ac.uk. And here's an excerpt. Sewage poses potential... You know what? I'm not going to read this. In essence, basically, there is some... Okay, where is the meat of this? Professor Richard Quilliam's new paper now warns that the average sewage system itself could pose a transmission risk. And so his standing comes from, he's currently leading a 100.85 million pound study. That's like $3 American. I'm kidding. Into the transport of bacteria and viruses in marine environments, said, we know that coronavirus is spread through droplets from coughs and sneezes or via objects or materials that carry infection. However, it has recently been confirmed that the virus can also be found in human feces up to 33 days after the patient is tested negative. So listen, everybody out there, Let's just cut down on the crap in general. Just cut down on the don't talk the crap, don't think the crap, don't walk the crap, don't crap the crap. And when you have to crap, keep your crap contained, and then we'll all be fine. And also, don't go to the sewage plants and lick anything. I think we'll be fine. Solid advice, son. Solid advice. We're going to move on. And I think it's appropriate that we do. I think you'd all agree with that. Walmart opens company's first meatpacking plant in South Georgia. Yay, more consolidation of a reliance of one entity in the hands of a few powerful families. Yeah. It's just a free market, buddy. It's just a free market. Hey, it's the free market that allows Walmart to have this significant resource advantage. To be able to come in and take away from local communities more and more of their ability to self-sustain without the approval of one or two corporate entities. Especially when we know these corporate entities have most assuredly decided to use that market monopoly to enforce upon the rest of us their very narrowly defined particular moral constructs. And we will be kicked off of the megalithic system if we fail to comply. See, we know that. I guess I wouldn't be as worried about monopolies if monopolies weren't protected by the government and given the right to do what government doesn't even give itself the right to do, which is to fundamentally violate our First Amendment rights in many ways, shapes, and forms, and to basically destroy local sovereignty in general. If that's within the nation-state construct, I would prefer the word stewardship over sovereignty. So I'll say stewardship from this moment on, which isn't much more because I'm about ready to wrap this up. So there you go. I'm not even going to read the particulars. Doesn't really matter. So they're going to be opening up a meat packing plant, and they're going to be trying to compete. They're going to be trying to move in to do. They have the capacity to start to do what Amazon does. So in one sense, that'll be kind of good because they'll be competing with each other. But in the end, they're still pretty much similar as far as how they're going to treat the folks that have to do the grindy works. And I would rather that we got rid of all the grindy works altogether, replace it all with our robots. But there will be a way. And you don't need a universal basic income. There are other ways. And, well, you just keep watching the show. And if you have watched, you already know some of the ways I've talked about. Just keep watching. We're going to end the briefs here, though. But don't forget to go to Freako.com and get your Freako Daily sent to your email. All you got to do is subscribe. Just subscribe. You'll find multiple instances of this little window here if you're watching the video to enter your email and hit subscribe, and then you subscribe. Coming up next is the last segment of the show. This will probably be for Dialecticals, probably a relatively short segment. And that's that topic is going to be Putin Syrians versus Erdogan Syrians in a war for control of the Libyan colony. That is the 9 p.m. segment that's coming up. But if you're watching the live stream here on Freako on the Action Bots YouTube channel, which is aired Monday through Friday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you don't have to wait. Oh, I never switched over to this. I do that. That's okay. I'm okay if I actually mess it up. And one of the reasons why I'm kind of okay if I forget to do that sometimes is I think I like to actually mix things up a little bit. But bear with me for a moment here, because I think that I have to get a bit of a nutritional burst in me. So I have to do something that is probably not age appropriate. I have to turn off the microphone for a second here. All right, sorry about that, folks, but I had a bit of a, I don't know what you call it, whatever, but if I eat these, for some reason, if I eat a couple of these crackers quickly, I usually heads it off at the pass, and then yeah. So that was like, it was almost like I was taking medicine there is what it was, and I didn't want you guys hearing me chew it and plop it. It was better for me to keep the music flowing, man. Keep this slow groove going, baby. We're at the Dialectical, so let's get ready to record it here. All right, in 3, 2, 1. This is the Dialectical for Frico Talks the News on Friday, May 8th, 2020. My name is Frico with Frico.com. Our Dialectical today is Putin's Syrians versus Erdogan's Syrians in a war for control of the Libyan colony. When Barack Hussein Obama took office, Libya was under largely American influence until Muammar Gaddafi decided that it was time to leave the dollar. And Hillary Clinton, while she came, she saw he died. And his death turned Libya into a fractured land of warlords being fed by larger actors. One of those actors is still the United States, but it also includes Turkey and Russia, and their involvement at this point might be the most important. The complexity of the relationship of Russia and Turkey highlights the whole absurd bloodthirstiness of nation-statism in general. In Syria, Russia relies on Turkey as a foil against American influence in that region. Turkey has her own vested interest in Syria, even as she relies on Russia as a foil against American influence in Syria as well. And they're mutual foils, competing for the same pound of Syrian flesh. And now they find themselves dancing even deeper in that pound of flesh competition in Libya. I regularly watch, I watch a lot of YouTube History Tube stuff, and I was going through a series that was highlighting the rise and fall of Carthage and all of the weird alliances and counter alliances and all the instances in which you could in one sphere have two nation state troopers working side by side, while in another sphere they're fighting each other. Now, in this instance, there's not, so far as there's probably some Russian mercenaries and some Turkish mercenaries, but by and large, no official Turkish or official Russian troops that may be fighting each other, but they have all kinds of, well, they have all kinds of factions that they support, and they also support factions that may end up fighting some of the other factions they support. And they're not schizophrenic, they're not stupid. They are just managing the powers, making sure that there's amongst the factions that you brought in, because you brought in animals. You're an animal yourself, so you know they're animals. You brought in psychopaths, and as a psychopath yourself that you can't let any of these psychopaths get too much power, so you're happy to have some of your own psychopaths turn on each other now and then. It's not totally makes sense. You would prefer it. And that's all you're seeing here. And this story was if you look at the history of Carthage and just look at how they had to manage things in what was it, the Second Punic War? I'm terrible with stuff, but somewhere around the 200s BC kind of era, they were using Greek alliances to try to destabilize things. And the Greek alliances, well, themselves, the Greeks and the Greek factions, they were let's just say they're incredibly complex and double dealing and all the these types of instances that we're looking at with Russia and Syria, or with Russia and Turkey, really, because it goes beyond Syria. This is now in Libya. You know, that's the way it's always been. I try to tell my daughter, I tell her, you don't need to know the details. You don't need to memorize the details. You need to immerse yourself in the details at least once through. At the very least once through. You immerse yourself in the details once through, you're very little that you'll come from it, but you'll have a powerful sense if you do that throughout all of human history. As close as you could get to that. Which you could never do, but make sure that as you're going through that you're balanced in everywhere that you're looking at. You're looking at the east, the west, the up, the down, this period, that period, the obscure places. Learn them, learn the outlines, learn the senses the senses of these time periods, and you start to see just how much all of these stories are the same. And they should tell you something about the futility of us doing things the way we are. There will never be a nobility of anything that comes about in any kind of end story that involves the nation state, coercive enterprise governance model. It will never, ever happen. At least I'm pretty sure it never will. I'm not an absolutarian, so. Here's an excerpt from foreignpolicy.com. It's Russia's Syrian mercenaries versus Turkey's Syrian mercenaries in Libya's war. As Turkey flooded Libya with its Syrian proxies, it also provided state-of-the-art drones and air defense systems. In March, Russia turned to Syria for reinforcements. It roped in its Syrian ally Assad to back its preferred Libyan warlord and began scouting for men willing to render service in a foreign conflict in exchange for cash. Syrian rebels say the man tasked with leading this recruitment drive was Colonel Alexander Zorin, who in 2016 served as the Russian Defense Ministry's envoy. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read all of this stuff. And he is known as the godfather of reconciliation deals. Ah, okay. So Zorin, apparently the Russians have said, yep, it's true. Zorin went to southern Syria. That's right. And that's where Russians are getting their recruitments for the fight in Libya. That's sure enough. And many rebels in the area had already switched their allegiance to Assad in July after the U.S. refused them further help. Maine, they cut off the money. So like, yo, I mean, there you go. Yep. Yep. They literally just turned their guns around. That's same story. Over and over and over again. And you see, the thing is, most of these people, if you were born in the circumstance in which most of these folks were born, these quote-unquote rebels, you could easily be one of these people. Don't look down on these folks. I'm not saying that you give countenance to what they're doing and you don't try to protect yourself from these types of folks, especially when they're out and open with guns literally coming into your village. But I'm just saying, don't look at these folks like they're some sort of something beyond what you might be. They're not. You could easily be these. I probably would not have ended up being one of these folks, but I would say 30-40% chance, which is significant enough that I could easily have ended up being one of these guys or gals that if I was born into that circumstance. In cooperation with Assad's intelligence officials, Zorin is believed to have initiated negotiations with a number of rebel groups to send them to fight in Libya. Okay. So, I don't know if I really need to go through all of this and the details. It's not really the point of me showing you this article. You can go to my site and you can look at, and I'll try to excerpt at least enough for you to get a fair wager. But I will say, click on the story here where it's at here. You click right here, and then you get this is really quite an interesting. All right. It's quite an interesting affair, I'll just say. It's quite an interesting affair. It's quite detailed, so worth worth going into. And I think that I'm going to end this Dialectical right now. And I have a show announcement to make. And I want to make sure that this channel hears that. So if you haven't watched the live stream, I encourage you go to toward the end of the show and the replay, and then you'll be able to hear it. But if you're watching live, you don't have to wait. I will see you next time. I will see you is Monday, and don't think that I'm going to do a live stream version of the iChap series. Rather, I'm just going to record the videos and post them. That's what I decided. I'm not going to do a live stream tomorrow. So that's how I'm going to do that. Monday, I will be doing the live stream show, but it will be different than the show that Tuesday through Friday. See ya. Oh, I never went to the thing, and I never did the Tip Your Freako thing, and that's okay. That's okay. All right. So let me talk to you guys for a little moment here. Let's see what time it is. I'm making a good time here. So what I've decided is I have, for a variety of reasons, it doesn't matter why, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing the Monday show is going to be mostly impromptu, where I'm going to pick some meaty stories that I went through during the week, or meaty stories that I didn't get to. Probably more meaty stories I didn't get to. But I'm not going to write anything for this show. It's probably only going to be 2 or 3 stories that we talk about, and we'll be doing a lot more in-depth stuff and maybe playing some videos and doing some other weird, strange things. So the Monday show is going to be kind of a more relaxed show. And what I'm going to be doing is all of the stories that I would... You'll still get link updates. By the way, on all of the sites, you will get link updates throughout the day. You'll get headlines. You'll get varying levels of links, and I'm going to be changing it so you get the premier type of links that I filter throughout the day. You can see, if you come back, you'll see some interesting links. These aren't my stories; these are just links. You'll click on them and you go to other sites, and just links that'll appear at the top. And I'll update those regularly. But my plan is the amount of links that I do Monday through Friday that I select for the show, the 32 links each day. Well, now that's going to be that same amount of links, possibly even more, that I'm going to condense. That actually, it probably will end up being, I guess, about 40, probably 45 something links a day that are going to be sent to Freako to be used in not 5 shows, 4 shows. So the shows Tuesday through Friday will have, well, they're going to be a lot more. Yeah. And now I will still do a news poem on Monday. So that's the one thing I will do. I'll do a news poem every day. So I will still do a news poem. So that's one thing I will have on the Monday show. I'll probably end with the news poem on the Monday show. So 2 or 3 stories that I don't write, and then a news poem I'll still do on Monday. And then Tuesday through Friday, the show pretty much as you know it now. And I have a number of reasons for doing that. The biggest reason is I really want this version of the show. I want those shows to be really. I want to feel like I feel bad about the stories that I'm going to miss. And then some of those stories I'll pick 2 or 3 from that I'll end up talking about on the Monday show the next week. So it'll be kind of like the Monday show will be kind of like a best of from next week, or best of stuff that we missed from last week. Because trust me, there's reasons that some stories that maybe in terms of the top headlines that people should follow me. I don't necessarily base my decisions on whether it's the most important story that I think you should. I don't presume to really know that. So I trust myself more to go by an aggregate of flow when I ultimately decide the final stories. And I'm still evolving as far as the aggregate of flow that I hope to represent. And I think that if I have a lot more stories to pick from, that ultimately those Tuesday through Friday shows, I will be able to create a tighter song, if you will. Monday is still going to be maybe Monday. Well, the Monday show is going to be really cool. It'll be a way to bust up things too. So I'm liking what I've decided to do, and I hope you guys do. The bottom line, though, is that I'm still doing shows Monday through Friday. That hasn't changed. It's just that the Monday show is going to be different, and I may end up. It's going to be maybe it'll be Freako. It'll still be called Freako Talks, the show, but news. But I might have a special. It'll be a little bit different looking, and it might have something on it that says Monday Edition, and you'll come to understand what Monday Edition is. And I think that's it. I think that's all I'm going to say on that. I want to thank everyone. By the way, I'm chugging along. This is the 5th week, and my improvement, such as it is very, very minuscule. But I do get a little. I have seen my YouTube channel get a couple subs here or there. I'm now over 100. When I started off, I was at 92. And now, as of last I checked, it was 105. So, hey. The BitChute account, I've begun since I haven't really, it's only been the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks possibly, that I reactivated the BitChute account. I started posting the excerpts on there, and I'm getting more views on there than I am any other platform. I'm getting 30 some odd views of a video right now. Not really much in comments. I got a comment recently. The person didn't like me. It hurt my feelings. I'm just kidding. No, they didn't like me, but it didn't hurt my feelings. I've also gotten a couple subs there. When I started that, I had 25 subs, and then I think I'm at 31. So I got 6 subs in 2 weeks. I'm rocking into the top, ladies and gentlemen. So things are incrementally moving, and my goal is essentially, I'm looking, if by the end of June, if I'm at, say, 200 YouTube subs, and I'm getting maybe, this sounds small, but really, when you're just building, it takes forever. Maybe if I get to the point where my live streams are regularly getting 40, 50 views, then on whichever platform I'm ultimately going to focus on, which right now I still want to be DLive, but right now I'm going to make it YouTube again then I'm going to keep doing. I'm looking at probably this taking maybe a year of slow and steady growth before I finally get to the level where I'm actually able to have a sizable enough audience that not only I will make money off of for my family and for myself, but also I think the type of audience that I hope to gather will be maybe the type I'll end up maybe on the Monday show. Sometimes you'll have interviews. Because any of these scientists, these futurists, these folks that I talk about in the stories, if you ever see any of these stories, folks, and you're in the story, hook me up. I'm probably wanting to talk to you. You'll end up on the Monday show. That's another thing I'll probably put on the Monday show as well. So with that, I bid all of you a very merry and very, 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 very heartfelt adieu. We'll see you Monday, 12:30 p.m. It's going to be exciting because it's going to be something that you haven't seen ever before. But don't worry, Tuesday we'll go back to our regular format.
Thank you for engaging with this material presented. As usual, remember your views, your suppositions do not make you subhuman, nor do they permit you to subhumanize others. No humans were harmed in the making of the show, and we extend no wish of harm in anyone who hasn't directly harmed or threatened to harm others first, no matter how reprehensible we find your views.
We will see you in the next Freako Talks, where Freako attempts to talk about news without freaking out.
It's not, it's not, it's not.